Okay, hi, I'm Malena.
My name is Raeleen.
Hi, I'm Rebecca.
I'm Kate Banville.
I'm Maggie Banville.
My name is Claire Bernard.
And right now we're doing a project on kind of who Missoula is and the people that live in it and kind of just the community and the reflection of kind of like who the people are and things like that. What makes Missoula home for you?
Definitely it's a pretty small community, honestly. I really can't go anywhere without me or my parents or my sister knowing somebody. But they're all really amazing people and a lot of river rats and chacos, I would say, for sure. Yeah.
The river and out to lunch.
Do you guys have a favorite Missoula, Montana memory or a favorite Montana memory?
I mean, obviously there's a river that runs through town, so tubing, paddleboarding, and there's a chain of lakes down by the Cow, if you know where that is.
Growing up in this community, is there anything that you particularly value about the people or just the culture in general?
I mean, yeah, for sure. Everyone around here is really amazing. Something that I've noticed, because I've traveled around with my parents and whatever. I've been to big cities, I've been overseas. I've just noticed people around here are super nice. Especially when you're walking around, you notice people stop for you, even if it's it's not your go for a walk, but they'll still stop for you, and just they're a lot nicer than a lot of other people that I've met in other parts of the world.
Everyone kind of treats you like a friend, which in because we travel a lot, in most places they treat you like a stranger. But I feel in Missoula it's kind of one big community. Everyone's kind of connected by a string, I feel.
Obviously you love your town, you live here, as you said. Is there anything that you would want to change, or is there any issue that maybe you've noticed that you wish wouldn't be the way it is?
I feel with a lot of sports, definitely there's a lot of bias, and especially with, you have to be in the right circle for especially small town sports. It's really hard to get really good or find the right people. It's it's a hard community sometimes to get into.
I like Missoula the way it is, but right by our house there's a road and they covered it with rocks, and it is not fun to rollerblade or skateboard on. Yeah, don't do that.
Do you have anything else to add?
Not really, just that I guess Missoula needs better roads.
Yeah, we need better roads. What's going on?
And I am a junior at the University of Montana, and I'm also a camp counselor for the Journalism Camp 2024. I moved here 2.5 years ago for school.
Yeah, and then would you consider Missoula kind of your home now, or?
Oh, absolutely. I love Missoula. I think when I first moved here, I was hesitant about, calling it my home because it was my college town. But now, after I've been here for a bit and I've made friends who feel like family, I think it's definitely become a home to me.
You're here for schooling, so how would you say you spend your every day?
Yeah, so one thing that's really great about Missoula is how close we are to the beautiful outdoors. So I spend a lot of my free time outside. I really like to ski, and I also like to mountain bike, hike, camp, fish, swim, pretty much just everything outside. When I'm not outside, you can usually find me anywhere with live music. So I think Missoula has a great live music scene. That's actually how I met most of my friends in college, just through dancing. So I really like to go to Karis Park and dance, and the bars here have some really great live music that I like to see. One of my favorite artists, Joan Zen, plays every last Friday of the month at this bar called the Union Club, and I really like to go dancing there. So yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's amazing. And especially then when you get your clique and you get your group, then you can do all those things together and do all that. That's incredible. That's super fun. Yeah. So if you were to describe and almost showcase Missoula to someone who has never been here, to maybe convince them to come here to visit, what would you say?
I would say that Missoula has the perfect combination of what you're looking for in Montana. It has the ability to get into the ruggedness and the kind of wildness that you look for in Montana. But unlike other places where it can seem kind of lonely or desolate, Missoula has a wonderful, thriving community, not only in the downtown, but in the way that neighbors take care of one another and the way that people care here. I think it really sets it apart from other cities in Montana.
Yeah, totally, 100%. And is there anything maybe that you find flawed about the city or anything that you wish that you could change?
I think that this is not necessarily the city's fault, but I think the state needs to invest more into protecting our unhoused neighbors, our queer neighbors, and other people who are minorities. I think because we are one of the more liberal spots in Montana, we need to take advantage of the fact that people are coming here to find similar community, and I think we need to celebrate and protect those people. My favorite Missoula memory? Oh, it's so hard to say because I feel like I have so many. I think, I honestly think it would probably be like, once again, one of my first weeks of university. I was at Caris Park and I was dancing, and I started dancing with all of these girls, and like I said earlier, those girls are now my like best friends in the entire world. So I think like that and the River Roots Festival that they have at the end of August every year are probably like my favorite things.
That's awesome. And then how do you think you, as a person, like as a student and as someone in the community, how do you think you contribute to Missoula yourself, or how do you wish to contribute to it?
I feel like journalists have a really cool position where we're at and where we can kind of be like observers and collectors of the community, where we bring together people even by not necessarily having them interact face to face, but interacting kind of through you. So I think being someone who's in the local journalism scene here and working with news organizations here, I think I contribute by being able to inform the Missoula community about things that are going on, but also try to capture the community while I'm writing, which I think is like a really cool and powerful thing that journalists can do.
How would you describe the culture of Missoula?
Oh, okay. It's hippie. I think that's what everyone says, so it's kind of like hippy-dippy, but it's also really fun and colorful and proud. I feel like Missoula's a really proud place to be Missoula, and they're also like really proud of who they are and kind of unashamed of that. One thing that I really like about Missoula is in the summer how late it stays dark, because we're right on this time change next to Idaho. And so one thing that's really beautiful is I think like everyone calls, Montana the land of the big sky, and I feel like you can really see the big sky in Missoula, so.
Yeah, like that's a good place to be.
Ah!
Thank you so much for your time. That was amazing. Yeah. And you say that for us?
In your opinion, what makes Missoula your home?
What makes Missoula my home? Everybody's just really friendly. For me, the draw was the outdoors, the water, the camaraderie amongst people around here, where you can just feel like anybody can kind of fit in really easily and everybody's treated with respect. I think that means a lot. The music scene here is really great. So,
If you could recommend this place to live in, what would you say to people if you want to, convince them to move here?
well, I think the big draw to live here is all the outdoor activities, although the cost of living is very high, so you need to come with some deep pockets if you think you want to buy a house here.
Is there anything you personally would like to see for a change in Missoula?
As far as, like, what are we talking? People, cost of living? Yeah, cost of living's probably the toughest, Even when you have college degrees and everything else, it's still hard to, we have a nice place. It could be bigger, but, as far as trying to buy a home here, probably not happening in the near future.
What makes Missoula home to you?
I guess like just the community, connecting with community, and getting to know everybody. Also like having events where you can just go and show up and have a good time, like this, Caris Park. And also, the three rivers running through it.
In the time that you've been here, what have you noticed about Missoula culture?
Everyone's super friendly. I think things have changed just like based off of stories from like people who have lived here longer. Like there's a lot more hustle and bustle and things have shifted a little bit, but everybody's really nice. I feel like I serve the community pretty well, like through the work that I do and connecting people to resources, linking them to where they need to go. So, but I'd love to volunteer more and stuff, but time. I wish there was more connection opportunity in winter. Yeah, just like more things like this, organized events, but
What is it like? You said, you've been living here for a while. So what's it like living in a college town? Because you also work at the university.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time, and I hope students who are listening to this don't take it against me, but I spent a lot of time trying to get away from the college students because, like, they're everywhere, and, like, when you teach on campus, you really can't go anywhere without somebody being like, I had your class, and you're like, okay, that's cool, just going to the Wendy's. And so, it is people are oftentimes like, Montana's like getting so many out-of-staters and so many people are moving here, but I'm always like, man, we could use some more people because like I would like to just go somewhere and be anonymous sometimes, and that's almost impossible. So, the cool thing about a college town is it's, we get like amazing music. We have live arts and performances that a lot of communities our size wouldn't have if it weren't for having a college. And so, there's always something going on that can be interesting, whether it's like intellectual or, like I said, artistic. And so, yeah, it's kind of got all these services that usually you would expect in a town that's like twice as big. And because we're sort of one of the bigger hubs of Missoula, we actually have a lot of that stuff in this place. And the college kind of makes it that way too.
Yeah.
It's gotten almost impossible for people to afford to live here, right? And we're not even Bozeman. Bozeman's even worse. And so I think it's, I would like a community, a person making an average wage in the normal community to be able to live in that community. And I think that is not true here anymore. And that, to me, it's so complicated how you fix it. But I think it is the thing that, you always worry that we're becoming, I hope no one's from Boulder either. I'm going to talk about that now. Boulder, Colorado, which is like this beautiful place that only the ultra wealthy can live in. And that all the people who work in Boulder and all the people who really kind of grew up in Boulder had to move away because they couldn't afford to live there anymore. And I worry that some of Montana is becoming that way. And, I don't know how to fix it. There's not like some easy, like, oh, we'll just do that and we'll be fine. But I think it is the thing that I think is changing this place probably most rapidly is that, the people who are moving here, I'm not one of those people. I moved here, so like I can't be like, hey, you jerks who are moving here and ruining this place. Like I'm one of them. But I think that there is this sort of tension because, having a life in a place like Missoula, certainly a place like Bozeman, other places that were sort of built kind of rich, like the ski resorts, Whitefish, Big Sky, those have always been like that. But like Missoula, you could live in Missoula and make, and have an average job and like it would be okay. And now, like, I think that's really, really hard. And so that's the thing that I worry about because it does change, the dynamics of the place. And I think it does build resentment between, people who've lived here for a while and people who are moving here. And that's a bummer because I think, Missoula, the one thing I would say about Missoula is the first thing that really blew me away was like, this was the kind of town where you would just be walking and random strangers would say hello to you. And as an East Coast resident, I would tell you that is not normal. Like, I was like, what are you doing? You don't make eye contact, you walk really fast, and you don't look at anyone. And Missoula was like so the opposite. And I worry some of that may start to slip away as we start to become like suspicious of others and think of that, oh, are these people who are moving here ruining it for me? And, I think that could be a bummer, but that's probably the biggest thing that I've noticed has changed in the last 15 years is that sort of like tension has always been there, but it's really seemed to be ramping up since the pandemic.
Yeah, and that's like part of the character of the town, like the charm.
We're just super friendly, hippy dippy Missoula, and we might be less that as we move on.
I think a lot of people would relate to what you're thinking and saying.
I guess the one thing, you'll probably hear this too when you talk to people. So for a long time, there was a bumper sticker that said, keep Missoula weird. And it kind of spoke to this town. This town, if you go and look at some of the history of like the old Wilma Theater had this crazy part of it that was like devoted to, was it goats? It was something very weird. It had like a shrine in it to like, So it was weird. This town was weird.
Yeah.
And I feel like that we might be less weird than we used to be, and that's kind of a bummer. Because like we're a little more like, you know, like you go downtown and there's still some really weird bars that you should not go into, plus you're underage. But there are like, but a lot of the places are really kind of swanky, and like, so some of the weird has gone underground, but I still think it's there, but it's not. Yeah, the Keep Missoula Weird thing, you don't see that much anymore.
You've witnessed it, so I feel like that's rare, and that's like valuable for you to like that you've like seen it before it went underneath, so then you can appreciate kind of like the hidden personality of the town.
Right, yeah. And remember it, right? Like kind of like, you know, celebrate that Missoula is not just a swanky mountain town. It's like it's a bunch of weirdos. So,
like they're trying to hide it, but they
I mean,
can't.
They can't afford to live here anymore, but they're still weird.
Yeah, it is what it is.
We are Missoula.
We are Missoula.
We are Missoula.
We are Missoula.